My name is Alina Ortiz. I'm 25, and in my family's chandelier-lit hierarchy, I was always the bulb in the hallway no one bothered to replace. Kayla, my older sister, was the chandelier. Bright, loud, expensive, useless in a power outage. Growing up, quiet was code for won't cause a scene when ignored. Kayla failed algebra once and got a private tutor, a new tablet, and a celebratory dinner for trying. I brought home a B plus in physics and got, why not an A, and a stack of dishes to rinse. I didn't resent it at first. I told myself steady was better than shiny. I worked part-time on the line, rolled napkins into tight white cigars, saved every tip. My car, a dented silver Camry I resuscitated with a friend from trade school, wasn't pretty, but every bolt was mine. When the dashboard flashed maintenance required, it felt like the car was winking at me. Same girl. It was a Tuesday night. Leftover pasta in a chipped bowl, the kind of quiet you can only hear after a double shift. Dad called. His voice came sugar-dusted, which meant it was anything but sweet. Hey, kiddo, he said. Warning sign number 1. What's up? It's about Kayla. She hit a little bump. His little bumps usually involved large receipts. I later saw one that literally said VIP Club, no refunds. No, he cleared his throat. Interest is piling up on her card. We were thinking you could help her out. How? I asked, playing dumb so he'd have to say it. You've got savings, right? You want me to pay her bill. It's just $3,000, he said, like he was describing the weather. Until she gets back on her feet. Family supports family. Oh, now we're doing that, I said. Because when I needed tires, you said to walk more for cardio. That was different, he snapped. You're responsible. You'll recover quicker. Responsible. The ribbon they pin on you when you're the family bailout fund. No, I said, calmly, like closing a door in a windstorm. A beat. Just like that? Just like that. He hung up. No goodbye. Just the hollow click of being demoted from daughter to obstacle. 2 days later, Mom tried the nice route. It lasted 4 seconds. Why are you being so cold? It's just money. I laughed. Then give her yours. Don't be rude, she said, steel under silk. She's your sister. My adult sister with a gym membership more expensive than my rent. She hung up too. For a moment, I thought the storm had passed. I was wrong. Saturday dinner. Roast chicken. Kayla's new gold watch flashing like a traffic camera. Silences that tasted like overcooked thyme. Mid-dessert, peach cobbler, my favorite. Dad slid the real ask across the table without words. Kayla's car is out of commission, he said casually. We were thinking she could use yours for a while. I set my fork down. Excuse me? It's not forever, Mom added. Just until she figures things out. Kayla shrugged. It's just sitting outside. You barely drive it. I drive it every day. Dad sighed like I was exhausting. This is exactly what I meant. You always make things about yourself. No, I said, feeling the floor tilt. You do. I just stopped pretending it doesn't bother me. Silence. Then the verdict, swift and bloodless. Maybe, Dad said. You should take some time away from this house until you remember what family means. No bags thrown onto the lawn. No dramatic exit. Just a sentence that pushed me out of my life. That night, I slept in the Camry, the same car they said Kayla should have. It was a lot of things. Cramped, freezing, humiliating. I folded a hoodie into a pillow, tucked fast food napkins under my cheek, watched the dashboard blink maintenance required like a mantra. I parked behind a 24-hour diner I used to mop for $7.25 an hour. Full Circle has a smell. Bleach, coffee, and old onions. In the morning, I went to work like nothing happened. My line cook asked if I was tired. I joked I was becoming one with the grind. They laughed. I didn't. Days blurred. The Camry became a studio apartment with wheels, showers at the gym, laundry at the coin-op that smelled like burnt popcorn. Meals were whatever could survive a microwave or be eaten cold. I waited for the text that never came. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Radio silence. Kayla, however, found her voice online, a video. Haters gonna hate. Family should support you anyway. 11 views. One from a guy named Jim Goblin 88. I watched it in the back seat, knees to my chest, and swallowed something sharp. Not because I wanted Kayla's approval. God, no. But because some small, stubborn part of me hoped somebody in that house would wake up and realize I wasn't the villain. My phone buzzed one night. Evan, my boyfriend. His texts were small lamps in a dark room. Evan, you okay if I drop by? I can bring soup. Me. I'm fine. Evan. Fine, fine, or fine. Me. Fine. Evan in. Okay, I'm here if you want me. I didn't let him bring the soup. Pride is a heavy blanket. It keeps you warm and pins your arms. A few weeks into car life, my manager pulled me aside after close. Alina, he said, are you okay? I'm good, I lied. He handed me an envelope. You've been working open to close 6 days. That's not dependable. That's desperate. Take this. Pay me back when you can. I didn't cry in front of him. I saved it for the Camry, forehead on the steering wheel, the envelope open in my lap. The number inside looked like air. The studio above the laundromat was a shoebox with a door that stuck when it rained and a soundtrack of dryers tumbling pennies. I set a mattress on the floor, and it felt like a luxury suite. I exhaled for the first time in weeks. From there, my hands, my honest, capable hands, started to itch. A neighbor's garbage disposal screamed. I fixed it for $20 and a 6-pack. Another neighbor's dryer howled. I calmed it with a belt and a prayer. Word spread the way water finds cracks. I made a sign on my laptop. Alina fixes things. No gimmicks, just wrenches. Printed flyers with tear-off tabs like it was 2006 and the internet hadn't swallowed the world. Taped one to the diner window I used to Windex. The manager laughed, then took 3 tabs. Work trickled in. Ovens at 7 a.m., patching drywall at noon, unclogging toilets at 9 p.m. I went to sleep smelling like WD-40 and small victories. A month later, Mom called from a blocked number. I almost ignored it, then answered for reasons I'll pretend were curiosity and not hunger for a voice that once sang me to sleep. Alina, she said, could you come by this weekend? We want to talk. About what? We just want things back the way they were. Back when? I asked. Before or after you tried to gift my car to Kayla? The line thinned. Don't be cruel. 3 days later, a text from Dad. You're being immature. This is your family. Then another from Kayla. You done with your little tantrum? Time to grow up. I stared at the screen and realized something. They hadn't changed. I had. Evan texted again that night. Evan. Want me there for backup if you meet them? Me. No, I've got this. Evan. Proud of you anyway. I agreed to meet at a neutral cafe that charged extra for oat milk and moral clarity. Mom hugged me like the waitress was grading us. Dad nodded. Kayla attacked avocado toast like it owed her money. We're glad you came, Mom said. What's this about? Dad leaned forward. Kayla's having trouble getting approved for a car loan. She has interviews lined up. We thought maybe you could help. There it was, the ask unwrapped. I already helped, I said, by not bailing her out. Maybe now she'll learn. That's harsh, Mom whispered. What's harsh, I said, is pretending I didn't exist for a year and calling this a reconciliation brunch. You've changed, Dad said. Yeah, I answered, laying a 10 on the table for my coffee. I stopped apologizing for not being a doormat. Kayla rolled her eyes. Forget it, Mom. She thinks she's better than us. Not better, I said, standing. Just done. Outside, the sky was the blue of new notebooks. My phone buzzed. Evan again. Evan, how'd it go? Me. They asked for the car. Again. Evan. You said no. Me. I said no. Evan. Good. Soup later? Me. Maybe. That night, the Camry's dash blinked its little warning light at me in the studio parking lot. Maintenance required. And for once, it didn't feel accusatory. It felt honest. Things break. You fix them, or you don't. Either way, naming the problem is the first repair. Kayla posted a new video before bed. Some people aren't built for success. The comments were a graveyard of bots. One real one. Tessa. Glyphs wrote, haters fear the grind. I recognized the name. Kayla had dragged me to one of her boot camps once. Tessa had smiled like a mirror. I turned off my phone. The room hummed with the laundromat below. Spins and rinses and quiet, relentless cycles. I stared at the ceiling and made a promise so small it felt safe to keep. Tomorrow I'd buy a magnetic sign for the Camry. I'd be the person I always was, but out loud. Some families love you for who you are. Mine loved me for what I could hand over. I had nothing left to hand them but my boundaries, which it turns out is the one thing they can't take. The laundromat beneath my studio sang all night, rattles, hums, thuds, like a heartbeat that refused to rest. That noise became my lullaby. By week 4, I could tell the difference between the dryers by sound alone. The one on the left had a loose coin trapped behind the drum. The middle one clicked in sevens. It was chaos you could predict, something I'd never had growing up. Work became my oxygen. I fixed leaky faucets, patched holes in walls, unclogged toilets that looked like crime scenes. Every dollar went to 2 things: parts and rent. I stopped checking my reflection in windows. I looked tired enough to scare my own shadow, but the exhaustion was clean, earned. Evan texted often. Avon, you ever sleep? Me, between jobs. Evan, you're turning into caffeine with legs. He meant it as a joke, but I could feel the worry behind it. He'd offered me a spare room at his place more than once, but I wasn't ready. Pride still had both hands around my neck. Then one night, after a 12-hour shift, my manager caught me before I clocked out. You fixed the fryer last week? He asked. Yeah, why? He grinned. The owner noticed. Wants you to look at the ice machine next. Said you saved him a service call. It was small, but it felt huge. The kind of validation you can't buy with anyone's approval but your own. A month later, I'd made enough to replace my Camry's dead headlight and buy a red rolling toolbox I'd been drooling over online. I stenciled Alina Fixes Things on the side in bold white letters. It looked ridiculous, like optimism on wheels, but I loved it. I started leaving flyers everywhere: hardware stores, gas stations, bulletin boards, at grocery exits. I even slipped one under the door of the old diner where I'd mopped floors. The owner stuck it near the register and winked. I'll call you when the sink leaks again. Work multiplied. Word of mouth is faster than gossip. Ovens, heaters, door frames. My hands learned their language. I smelled like WD-40 and Triumph. Then came the text from Mom. Mom, can you come by? We just want to talk. I ignored it. Then another. Mom, it's about Kayla. That was her trick. Use Kayla as bait. Evan called that night. Just hear them out, he said softly. Last time I heard them out, I was homeless in a parking lot. I know, he said, but maybe closure's worth 1 coffee. He wasn't wrong. Closure has gravity. It pulls even when you know better. So I agreed. The cafe was the same one where we used to meet after Kayla's dance recitals. Mom smiled too wide when I arrived. Dad stirred his coffee like it owed him money, and Kayla scrolled through her phone like she was doing me a favor by being there. Mom reached across the table. We're so glad you came. Sure, I said. What's this about? Dad cleared his throat. Kayla's been trying to get a car loan, but with her credit. Here we go again. We thought maybe you could co-sign. I almost laughed. You want me to put my name on her debt? It's just paperwork, Mom said. Family helps family. I sipped my latte. That line's getting old. Dad's jaw tightened. You've really changed. Good, I said. I was overdue. Kayla muttered. You're unbelievable. No, I said. I'm awake. I left before they could say another word. Outside, I texted Evan. Me. You were right. Closure was the wrong coffee. Evan. You okay? Me. Yeah, just tired of being their safety net. That night, I made a new rule. Any call from them after 9 p.m. goes straight to voicemail. Weeks later, work exploded. A property manager I'd fixed an HVAC system for referred me to a local landlord. Then another. One night, I sat in my studio counting invoices when my phone buzzed. The contact name made my stomach drop. Kayla. I hovered over decline. Then curiosity betrayed me. Hey, she said, voice airy but tight. So, I saw your business thing. Cool that you're doing, handy stuff. Handy stuff, I echoed. That's one way to say rent and bills. Anyway, she continued, there's this gym job opening. Maybe you could fix something there. I could talk to my manager. It sounded generous, but I could hear the smirk hiding between her words. I'm good, thanks, I said. I have clients. Oh, right, you're self-employed now. That tone, the one people use when they mean delusional, it stuck under my skin for days. 2 weeks later, I got a call from a property firm. They wanted to list me as a preferred vendor for apartment repairs. Regular contracts, steady pay. The kind of break you don't get twice. I celebrated by calling Evan. I'm proud of you, he said. You always say that. Because it's always true. He paused, then added carefully, by the way, Tessa messaged me. My chest went still. Your ex Tessa? Yeah, Said she saw Kayla posting about me. Asked if we're still together. What did you say? That I don't answer to rumors. I wanted to believe that was the end of it, but the name Tessa stuck in my mind like a loose screw. Kayla's friend. Fitness influencer. Loud online, silent in person. Some nights, while updating invoices, I caught myself scrolling Tessa's page. Her posts glowed with filtered perfection. Discipline, drama, cut off toxicity, even if it shares your DNA. The irony nearly short-circuited my phone. Then came the message from Dad. Dad, can you come by tomorrow? Emergency. My stomach dropped. Emergencies in my family always translated to financial fire we started ourselves. I almost ignored it, but then another message followed. Mom, please, it's about the house. Something in that text felt different. I called back. Alina, Mom said, her voice trembling. The roof caved in over the upstairs hallway. Your father slipped on the wet carpet and hit his shoulder. Is he okay? He's bruised, but the water damage is bad. Insurance won't cover it. They said it's neglect. I closed my eyes. I'd told Dad a year ago that the roof was softening. He'd laughed it off. We just need help getting it fixed, Mom said. The contractor quoted $10,000. We don't have that. I let the silence stretch. So you're calling the daughter you threw out, I said softly, to fix the house you didn't maintain. Her breath hitched. We thought maybe you'd want to help your family. Be the bigger person. Funny, I said. When I needed help, all you offered was judgment. Dad's voice barked in the background, muffled but sharp. If she doesn't want to help, fine. Please do, I said, and hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at the cracked paint above my bed. Then I opened my contacts, found Rick, roofing, a guy I trusted from apartment jobs, and texted him. Me. Need you to give a fair quote to this address. Don't overcharge. Offer a payment plan. He replied, Rick, you got it. 2 days later, he texted again. Rick. They passed. Said they found someone cheaper. No license. Sketchy. I just stared at the message and laughed. Of course. Always cheaper. Never wiser. That night, I stood by my window, watching rain streak down the glass. The laundromat below hummed on. I thought about that house, the same one I'd been told wasn't mine to drive away from, and felt nothing. No rage, no triumph. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that means a chapter is closing whether you want it to or not. Then, as if the universe had a sense of humor, an email pinged in my inbox. Subject: Contractor request. Westbrook Street property. Westbrook Street, my parents' address. I read it 3 times. The firm that had just signed me as vendor wanted me to renovate their newest acquisition, a foreclosed colonial with water damage and structural issues. The same house I grew up in. The same one my parents had just lost. I laughed, once, sharp and short. Then I whispered into the hum of the dryers below. Full circle, again. The following Monday morning, I parked my Camry 3 houses down from a colonial-style home with green shutters and a cracked driveway. My parents' house, except it wasn't theirs anymore. The bank's sign out front looked almost merciful. Property under management. No trespassing. I'd read the address in the work order at least a dozen times the night before, half hoping I'd misread it. But there it was in bold black print, Westbrook Street. The place looked tired. The hydrangeas Mom used to obsess over had withered to brown stems. The mailbox leaned like it was surrendering. I took a breath and unlatched my tool belt. Work was work. I was a contractor now, not a daughter coming home. When I stepped through the front door, the air hit me. Stale, damp, familiar. That faint mix of mildew and lemon cleaner that only exists in houses that were once loved and left too long. I moved through each room with my clipboard. Ceiling stains spreading like bruises. Mold colonies climbing up the hallway corners. A warped patch of flooring where Dad must have slipped. My boots echoed against hollow spaces, and I realized something strange. The house felt smaller. Maybe I'd outgrown it. Maybe it had always been this way, but I was too busy apologizing for taking up room to notice. At noon, my crew arrived. 2 guys I'd worked with for months, Marcus and Dylan. They followed my lead without questions. We're tearing up the hallway first, I said. Watch the beams. Water damage spread deeper than reported. You got it, boss, Marcus said. Boss. That word never stopped feeling new in my ears. By late afternoon, we'd pulled out 3 bags of rotted insulation and a pile of warped boards. I found a photo wedged under a loose baseboard. Kayla and me, at ages 6 and 8, dressed for some long-forgotten family barbecue. We were sticky-faced and barefoot, holding popsicles. I stared at the photo for a long time before slipping it into my pocket. Not sentiment, just evidence that I'd existed here once. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A voicemail followed. Mom's voice, shaky. Alina, we didn't know you were working for that company. The agent never told us. Please call me. Your father he's devastated. I played it twice, just to hear that word again. Devastated, like a melody he'd never learned before. Then another call, this time from Kayla. I let it ring out. Another voicemail. Seriously? You're renovating our house? What is wrong with you? Are you trying to humiliate us? I deleted it. I didn't owe them explanations. I owed my clients results. For the next 2 weeks, we worked long hours. Replaced roof trusses, scraped black mold off drywall, installed new beams. Every nail felt like punctuation, proof that I was still here, still building. Evan dropped by sometimes with takeout and small talk. You sure you're okay doing this? He asked one night, leaning against the doorway as I stripped insulation from the ceiling. I'm fine, I said. He gave me that look, the one that saw through me. Fine, or fine? Fine, I said, smiling this time. He set down a bag of noodles and joined me on the floor. We ate in the half-lit kitchen, where I'd once been told I'd never be management material. You realize you're technically managing people now? He said. Don't ruin the irony, I said, laughing softly. He hesitated. Tessa messaged me again. I looked up. And? She said Kayla's been posting about how you stole the renovation job. Tessa offered to meet up, talk about it. Are you going? He shook his head. No, I don't do reruns. I believed him, mostly. But that night, as I drove back to my studio, I scrolled through Kayla's page. Sure enough, there she was, posting cryptic quotes about betrayal disguised as success. The comment section was a mess of pity and validation. Among them, one from Tessa. Some people build off your downfall. Stay strong, babe. My thumb hovered over a reply, but I stopped. What was I going to say? Actually, I was hired legally, and I'm doing the job right. Drama thrives on attention, and I was done donating mine. 2 weeks later, we finished the major repairs. The house had new bones, fresh beams, clean walls. I could almost hear it breathe again. Marcus walked beside me during the final walkthrough. Hard to believe this was falling apart a month ago, he said. Yeah, I said quietly. It just needed someone to stop pretending it was fine. We loaded our tools, signed off the paperwork, and drove away. That night, I received another voicemail. Dad this time. His voice was brittle, stripped of thunder. I heard you finished the job. The place looks good. We shouldn't have called you selfish. You were right about the roof, about a lot of things. Pause. We're sorry. No excuses, no bargaining. Just 2 words I'd waited my whole life to hear. And somehow I didn't feel triumphant. I felt still. Like the house, maybe I'd finally stopped leaking. A week later, I met with the property firm to finalize the next contract. The regional director shook my hand. Your work on Westbrook was fantastic, Alina. We've got bigger properties coming up. Interested? I smiled. Always. On my drive home, I passed Westbrook Street one last time. The lights were off. The windows gleamed. Someone new would move in soon. Someone who'd love it differently. Maybe better. I didn't slow down. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Evan again. Evan. You still up for dinner? Me. As long as it's not soup. Evan. I'll bring tacos. Me. Then yes. The light turned green. I pressed the gas. The Camry hummed steady beneath my hands, and for the first time, that blinking light on the dashboard didn't say maintenance required. It said, keep going. 2 days after finishing Westbrook Street, my phone buzzed again. Not with gratitude, not with business, just chaos. Kayla, you really think you're some hero? You took our house job just to rub it in. Everyone's talking about how cruel you are. I ignored it. Then Tessa posted a story on her fitness account. Some people only build by breaking others. The photo? A blurry shot of me standing in front of Westbrook with my tool belt, mid-laugh. Kayla must have sent it to her. I stared at the screen until my chest went hot. Then I set the phone face down on the table. Evan called 5 minutes later, like he felt the tension through the air. Don't look at their posts, he said. Too late. They're trying to bait you. Don't give them content. Content, I said flatly. That's all I ever was to them. He sighed. Come over. Take a break. I didn't. I stayed in my studio surrounded by paint swatches and invoices, my own proof of reality. By the next morning, the gossip had mutated. Someone online claimed I'd bragged about stealing my parents' home. Tessa fanned the flames with cryptic captions about women who weaponize independence. It should have hurt. Instead, it felt predictable. At noon, a knock rattled my door. I opened it expecting a delivery. Instead, Kayla. Her makeup was perfect, like she'd come straight from filming a tearful apology vlog. "You won," she said before I could speak. "You happy? You ruined everything." I blinked. "Kayla, I didn't take anything from you. I was hired." "You could have said no." "And then what? You'd still hate me, but the roof would still cave in." She crossed her arms. "You always think you're better. Fixing things doesn't fix people, Alina." "No," I said quietly, "but it fixes me." She laughed, a short, brittle sound. "Tessa was right. You've changed." "Good," I said. "So should you." She left without another word, perfume trailing like nostalgia. That evening, Evan showed up anyway, 2 tacos in hand. "She came by?" "Yep." "Want to talk about it?" "Nope." We ate on the floor, legs stretched out, silence thick but comfortable. After a while, he said, "Tessa reached out again. This time she wanted to meet." I froze. "Did you?" "Yeah." I looked at him, and he raised a hand before I could speak. "I met her to end it properly. I didn't want her twisting anything." "And?" "She admitted Kayla asked her to post that story. Thought it would teach you humility. I told her to delete it, and that if she didn't, I'd post the screenshots." I exhaled slowly. "You really did that?" "Yeah. I'm tired of people mistaking your silence for guilt." A laugh escaped me, half relief, half disbelief. "That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said." "Delete drama, add tacos," he said, grinning. "My love language." I leaned into him, and for the first time in months, the tension unclenched. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the property firm. Subject: outstanding feedback. Westbrook Street project. I opened it expecting a review. Instead, there was an attachment. Letter from former owners. My heart stuttered. I clicked. Alina. "We saw the finished home. It's beautiful. We never said thank you for the warning, for the work, for everything. We miss you. Mom and Dad." No demands, no guilt, just words. I closed the laptop, set my forehead on my arms, and breathed. For years, I'd wanted them to see me. Maybe they finally did. Later that week, I revisited Westbrook alone to check final permits. The new tenants hadn't moved in yet. The house stood quiet, smelling of fresh paint instead of regret. The kitchen gleamed with new counters. The hallway where the ceiling had collapsed was bright and solid. My reflection flickered faintly in the polished oven door. I touched the frame of the front door, the same one that once slammed behind me, and whispered, "You held. You made it." Maybe I was talking to the house, maybe to myself. A sound from behind made me turn. It was Evan, camera in hand. "Sorry," he said, smiling. "Thought you'd want a photo. You look at peace. Maybe for the first time." He lifted the camera. "One more for the record?" I nodded. The shutter clicked. That single photo would later hang in my new office, the woman who rebuilt the house that broke her. 6 months later, I was standing in my new office, a space barely bigger than my old studio, but with sunlight that hit the walls just right. My name was stenciled on the frosted glass, Alina Ortiz, Contracting and Repair. I had 2 full-time crews now, 3 trucks on the road, and a waiting list for new clients. The smell of coffee and sawdust had become the scent of stability. I'd built a life from the scraps they told me weren't enough. That morning, a plain white envelope slid through the mail slot. No return address, just my name written in my mother's tight, careful handwriting. Inside, a card. No glitter, no excuses, just a single sentence. "We miss you." And below it, in smaller letters, "Kayla's staying with us. The apartment's small. The heater's busted, but we're managing. Hope you're doing okay." I sat at my desk, tracing the ink with my thumb. No manipulations. No, "we need you." Just honesty. Maybe for the first time. Evan walked in mid-thought, setting a box of screws on the counter. "You good?" I handed him the card. He read it, nodded once, and set it down gently. "They're trying," he said. "Yeah," I whispered. "I just don't know if I'm ready." He leaned against the desk, arms crossed. "You don't owe anyone a reunion. You just owe yourself peace." I smiled faintly. "Peace is expensive." Yeah, he said, but you've been paying in full for years. That night, I sat on my couch with the card in my lap and my laptop open. I started typing, not an email, not a reply, but an invoice. Client, Westbrook Street. Renovation lead. Contractor, Alina Ortiz. Status, balance paid in full. At the bottom, I added one line. The house got a second chance, so did I. Then I printed it, folded it, and slipped it into an envelope addressed to my parents' new apartment. No return address, just closure. 2 weeks later, a photo arrived in my work inbox. No message, just an image. My parents standing outside a small brick apartment building, Kayla behind them, bundled in a coat. In front of them, a new space heater, still wrapped, tagged with a sticker from Ortiz Contracting. Evan peeked over my shoulder. You sent them that? I shook my head slowly. No. Marcus must have dropped one off. He knew. Evan smiled. Guess word gets around. Yeah, I said softly. So does kindness. I closed the email and looked around my office. The sunlight hit the photo of me at Westbrook, me in my tool belt, smiling, free. The walls hummed with the steady rhythm of what I'd built from nothing but exhaustion and grit. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the hallway light bulb no one replaced. I felt like the one I'd screwed in myself, steady, bright enough, and never again waiting for someone else to flip the switch. As I locked up for the night, the phone buzzed. Evan again. Evan. Dinner at our place or yours? Me. Ours. I'll cook. Evan. You sure? Last time you almost welded the pan. Me. Occupational hazard. I laughed, tossed my jacket over my arm, and stepped outside. The street smelled like rain and sawdust. The trucks were lined up, silver logos gleaming under the streetlights. I turned the key in the Camry, the same one I'd once slept in, and whispered into the hum of the engine. You did good, girl. The dashboard flickered once, the maintenance required light long gone. It just read ready, and for the first time, so was I.